Welcome to today's Oxby AI Exchange, where we're going to be covering the future of hiring. It is something that is totally filling feeds when it comes to AI use within organizations. And that is how, both from a job seeker's point of view, AI is impacting that kind of recruitment journey, and also from an employer's point of view. Because, of course, we use this technology because it helps us. It's quicker, it's faster than us at processing, because it sits beautifully in those kind of job roles, in those tasks. It summarizes information. It's great at putting things together and giving us iterations. So, of course, it was bound to take over aspects of recruitment. But how is AI truly changing recruitment? That's what we're going to cover today. We're going to look at it from a technical standpoint and look at this wonderful tech that we now have access to. And we're going to look at it from a job seeker's point of view and what we now need to do when entering the market, when we're experiencing these different kind of processes that used to be very human-led that are now technically led. Yeah. As always, in any of our sessions, you can drop me a question in the chat and I'll make sure that those get answered for you. We only have the hour together. We don't talk about this topic the next time. So any questions you have, just let me know and I'll make sure I get those answered. So welcome, and let's kind of start the kind of session today. So this is one of the biggest shifts that we've seen when it comes to recruitment. So for years, we have spoke about the potential of AI taking on these kind of roles, such as the interviewer, the initial recruiter. And it's here. It's now here. It's accessible. It's tangible. It's baked into the platforms that we use for recruitment, project management, and HR now. Yeah. And from a candidate point of view, many first instances, their first interaction with an organization within the job pipeline isn't with a human. It's not with a recruiter. It's not with a manager or even anybody else that is classed as a human, right? It's with an algorithm, and it's potentially in the shape of an avatar. So these systems, these glorious AI systems that we have access to, can now run thousands of interviews a day. They analyze tone, they analyze word choice in milliseconds. They deliver feedback faster than we can, than any hiring team can. They're fast, they're consistent, and incredibly efficient. But this also raises many questions, right? What happens to the human connection when the person interviewing you isn't a person at all? How does this removal of the human touch within the AI process impact recruitment overall? So we're going to look at that. We're going to look at how these tools work, who they actually benefit, what candidates really think, some mishaps within the AI recruitment world. And we're also going to look at it from the two sides. So I'm going to talk to employers, and I'm going to talk to candidates, and I'm going to make sure that each know the reason that AI is within these kind of systems. And these tools are powerful. I talk a lot about the power of AI tools and the fact that they can truly make a difference when it comes to our workflows. But recruitment is still ultimately about people discovering potential and then driving connection. Yeah. So the real challenge isn't whether AI will kind of replace parts of hiring. It will. It's actually, how do we design a process that blends automation with empathy? Yeah. And maybe after this session, you'll be like, oh, I didn't realize that's what it's like from a candidate's point of view, and change your processes. Or you may be an organization which is like, well, actually, this would help us to hire quicker and move our organization forward. From a candidate's point of view, at the end of this session, what you'll see is how to understand how to connect with these newly AI-powered processes. Yeah. So let's start. Let's have a look at kind of the three major ways that AI is changing the hiring process. So when we start and kind of think about the recruitment kind of pipeline and how we bring people into our organization and move them through into hiring and onboarding, we always start with sourcing and screening. Yeah. So now it is majorly powered by AI. So if you have what is classed as a modern recruitment platform or a platform that now has AI integrated, what you'll see is these platforms use things like machine learning models and natural language processing so they can scan thousands of profiles, CVs, and also online footprints in seconds. So what that system is looking for in that CV is keywords, skill clusters, employment patterns, and also what it classes as inferred competencies to generate a short list long before a human recruiter even sees that pile of CVs. Yeah. So what does this actually mean? Why are we doing this? Why are we bringing AI into that? It's because it supports organizations to have faster hiring circles and a wider, more diverse talent pool. But there's also a risk, as there is with any AI-powered solution. And that is because if a candidate's CV doesn't match the algorithm's vocabulary or the way it reads things or the structure it expects, they can be filtered out. And I'll talk more about that as we go through today. We also have then automated assessments and interviews. So AI isn't just a screener. It's not just reading. It's not just screening the documents we give it. It's now actually evaluating people. CV scoring algorithms rank applicants, while video interview tools use speech analysis, facial data, depending on the platform, and language modeling. And what they're doing is assessing communication, tone, or problem-solving style. And even some of those systems attempt to predict soft skills using behavioral kind of nuances and linguistic patterns in the responses that are given, because it can analyze all of this data all at once. Yeah. So what does that mean? Why are we doing that? And what we're trying to aim for here, what these systems are trying to aim for, is a more consistent assessment within this high volume kind of environment we're seeing within the job kind of world. Some applications, like I was looking at the data this morning for a marketing manager in London, they're getting over 1,000 applicants. If we didn't have those systems, do you really think it's time secure for somebody to sit and go through those? Yeah, it would become an impossible kind of task. But there are concerns around accuracy, transparency, and whether algorithms can or should interpret traits like empathy or creativity. So then the kind of next way that AI is really changing the process is data-driven decision-making. So this is where the tech behind this, the AI-driven tech, is often predictive analytics. So predictive models are analyzing historical hiring and performance data to forecast which candidates are likely to succeed, thrive, or stay long-term. And these systems look for correlations in job histories, skills, progression, organizational outcomes, those kind of things. So what does that mean? So from a recruiter's point of view, we're gaining clearer insights and more evidence-based choices, but candidates may find that their career opportunities are shaped by patterns created from other people. Yeah. In a lot of the sessions, we talk about how AI is a probability matrix. The way that it decides is by looking through the information it has been trained upon, the information you have given it, and then giving you the most probable outcome. And sometimes in recruitment, the most probable isn't the best, potentially. We could be missing out as organizations. So it's quite interesting that the three ways that this is bringing a true benefit to our organizations are also causing us issues that potentially weren't there when the recruitment process was heavily human orientated. Yeah. So there's some key kind of recruitment tools that are really pioneering in the way that they offer AI solutions. And there's three here. They all do different things. When we look at things that are AI powered, not everything does the same thing. There's different types of AI technology that support different processes to get us different outputs. So it's also important to recognize that there's different types of AI technology powering different types of platforms. So for example, if we look at ProMap, this sources talent from multiple platforms, screens resumes, and schedules interviews automatically. That is what it is good at. That is the AI kind of technology that supports that processes. Yeah. It also uses an interview co-pilot with live transcription, AI-powered follow-up, question suggestions, response analysis, and candidate skill or experience insights. So AI integration here helps recruiters detect inconsistencies, evaluates candidate fit in real time, and adapts interviews based on responses for fairness and better matching. So we're trying to, with ProMap, we're trying to do high volume screening, and we're making sure that we're getting the best out of the interviews that are still human-led, but are AI supported with ProMap. And then from that information, it's making changes, it's making kind of integral decisions that then the recruiter can move forward or decide against. Yeah. So that's one way that AI is supporting one type of recruitment software. We then have something called Eightfold AI. So this provides a talent, what is classed as a talent intelligence platform for acquisition, management, and diversity initiatives. So this is where we're looking at using AI for deep matching. So candidate matching, skill mapping, diversity tracking, and predicting future success or turnover risk. And they automate resume screening, shortlisting, and analytics for time to hire and cost to hire, with the impact and the kind of emphasis of bias reduction features. Now, as you can see, these are both AI-powered recruitment tools. Yeah. But ProMap uses different types of AI technology to complete different tasks compared to Eightfold, but they are both classed as AI-powered recruitment technology. So then we have HireView. So this specializes in AI-powered video interviewing and candidate assessments. So this is where we're automating interview scheduling, analyzing candidate responses, and we're using that for insights on communication and soft skills. And we're generating standardized kind of rubrics out of that. So the AI component there reduces unconscious bias, increases screening speed, and produces detailed reports for decision making overall. So again, you can see that there's different types of technology that provide us with a different output when it comes to recruitment. That is something I also want you to take away from this, that when you're choosing an AI-powered platform to support your recruitment processes, you need to understand the technology that sits within that platform, because that will allow you to understand the way the output is created, the data that you need to have access to make that AI-powered platform as purposeful as possible. And also, you need to make sure that you're using the right tech to get the right outcome that you need. Yeah. So that is kind of a way for you to differentiate between the potential different AI-powered tech that you now have access to, very, very simply. So the AI recruitment landscape in 2025. So job seekers are adopting AI incredibly quickly. There's a huge behavioral shift that has happened. So in early 2024, only about 1 in 10 candidates used AI either to support their CV or within their job search. If we look at mid 2025, that jumped to almost half. And then as we're tailing out now, it's like 7 out of 10. So they're using it to tailor CVs, prep interviews, and analyze job descriptions. But that also comes with a problem, because that's why we're getting a lot of CVs that sound the same, because people don't really know how to prompt when it comes to using AI, and kind of AI, they're almost using AI as a job coach, right? So when it comes to, from a recruitment point of view, we're probably excluding a lot of CVs when it comes to these AI systems because they sound generic. So that's something to be wary of when it comes to, yes, we're all using AI, but actually, is that detrimental when it comes to like creating our CV, for example? The other thing that we're seeing is that their comfort levels are rising when it comes to AI use, but there's no blind trust yet. So most candidates are comfortable interacting with AI when we're looking at job hunting, job seeking, or applying for jobs. But that is generally because they are of a younger age when they are initially searching for jobs. So when we look at job seekers as a kind of bell curve, the most amount of people are kind of those people who are just entering the market. If you spoke to somebody who has just been made redundant at 60 and they're now going into a brand new tech AI powered kind of recruitment process, they will probably be much more uncomfortable. And they're very generally, if you have systems that do things like early stage tasks, like chatbots to schedule someone in, people are comfortable with that. So it's not putting people generally off applying for your role if you have a front-ended AI-powered recruitment process. But they tend to only trust the process when a human has the final say. So if they feel like, if job seekers feel that in reality the system is too tech or automated heavy, they generally don't complete the application. So it was a really interesting study at the end of a couple of months ago, and basically it was like 2 in 10 people, if they feel it was like too automated, they generally didn't apply. So we're losing out on great talent potentially because we don't have any humanity in that front end of the recruitment process. Another thing is that AI is already influencing who gets hired. Yeah, so what we're seeing is that candidates selected by these AI systems are more likely actually to pass interviews and get offers, around 14% more likely overall. So that means that algorithms are shaping opportunity long before anyone speaks to a recruiter, which is really interesting. Yeah. And from a job seeker's point of view, what they're liking when it comes to AI and AI use from a recruitment kind of process is they like the personalized job applications. Just like in marketing, with AI, we can actually create content that is more specific to specific segments. So when an individual discovers an AI-powered job ad and it actually makes them feel seen and heard, they're more likely to give more in that recruitment process. They love the fact that they can get feedback. So imagine trying to respond to 180 people that they haven't been successful. The system can now do it, and that person gets closure, and you don't have to waste that time. They also love the kind of smoother scheduling aspect of it. So those features, candidates say, generally improve their experience. But from the employer side, adoption is exploding in this kind of area. So AI in HR has nearly doubled in a year, which is huge. Organizational use jumped from 26 to 43 in 12 months. For many teams, AI now handles about 40% of those HR repetitive hiring tasks. And the business impact is actually hard to ignore. So companies are reporting 20% better retention, up to 40% in a lower kind of cost per hire when it comes to time allocation, more accurate candidate matching, higher quality hires when recruiters use AI assisted messaging, and also bias reduction is a big driver. So a lot of the times in recruitment, we come up against this wall, this issue when it comes to bias within these processes. And there's a real drive in allowing AI to support and help counter that bias. And they're using it to match candidates to more suitable internal roles, not just filter them out. Yeah. So the key takeaway when we're looking at the new rules of job hunting, if we want to clarify it, is AI is realistically deeply embedded in a lot of these processes, and it impacts not only from who gets shortlisted to actually who gets an offer. It brings speed, consistency, better matching, but only works well when compared with visible human oversight. We can see that in the data. Candidates prefer that, yeah? And that balance is actually what we're trying to strive for when it comes to using AI within recruitment. So from a candidate's point of view, and the reason I think it's so important to go from both sides is, as an employer who's using these AI-powered tools, you may not even know that this is how it impacts a candidate. And if you are a candidate who's joined this call and is going through this webinar, you may not know how to work with these systems and not against them. So when we start to think about these new AI-powered processes, the first thing I want you to think about is your first impression is made by a machine. Yeah. AI now helps recruiters manage that flood of applications, and we're looking for experience and relevant keywords. It's simply the first step now in a longer human process. So what does that mean for job hunters, for candidates? So they need to start using the technology by supporting the technology by using clear, simple formatting and language that mirrors the job description. We can't just send in one CV for all anymore. It automatically, almost 100% of the time, will get filtered out because that CV is not matching the keywords, the kind of sentiment clustering, the overall feel that the AI system is looking for in that content. So we need to start thinking of our CV as a bridge. And when you're thinking about it, when you look at candidates, it's the bridge between the system and them, and kind of getting them through that front door of that piece of technology. The clearer it is, the faster it connects people to the right role. And while optimized CV doesn't replace the person, it just makes sure that we're matching the right skills to get us noticed, to get us through that front kind of first machine impression. So you need to write with, when you're writing a CV or kind of suggesting to anyone in your life to write a CV now, we need to balance the algorithm and the recruiter. So we're using strong action verbs, measurable results, and job-specific terms. When you're writing a job application that goes through one of these screening systems, these AI-powered systems, you need to make sure you're using the right terminology, or else you'll end up with a load of CVs that have been matched and they're not actually the right person for the role that you're trying to hire for. Personalization really does beat volume at the moment. So modern hiring tech looks for meaningful matches. We're not striving for mass applications. So it starts to actually recognize when a CV genuinely aligns with a specific role. So an individual who's applying needs to make sure that we're taking the time to tailor these applications so we're showing genuine intent and increase our chance of being shortlisted. So when what we give in these systems speak directly to the company's needs, AI and humans can match that. That's what it's looking for. Yeah. So as job seekers, we actually need to start looking at really only focusing on opportunities that really fit, or else you will just get auto filtered out anyway. And from a job like recruiter kind of role, when we're looking at personalization, again, make sure the wording in the roles, in the way that the questions are asked within these kind of initial kind of first steps within a AI powered recruitment process are the correct ones, because you don't want people to be matching to the role that truly don't have the right competencies. The next thing is, and what some individuals don't recognize, is that our data tells a story. So AI is connecting dots. It's looking for certain things, and it does that across your CV, LinkedIn, and experience to form a picture of who that person is as a professional. It's looking for patterns. It's looking for patterns of growth, consistency, and impact. So what that means is we can shape that within our CV. So we need to choose the right achievements to highlight and describe my journey. What a recruiter or an HR individual may not realize is a lot of these systems are looking for quantifiable outcomes. And the way that it does that is it's looking for things like, I increased sales by 15%. Now, a lot of people who write CVs are not good at talking in quantifiable outcomes, or may not even realize they do. So what you may see is that a role may not, which has got a high level of competencies, may not get the individuals you thought it would, or the right amount of applicants that get through the screening, because those individuals aren't talking in the right quantifiable outcomes. AI cannot fill in the gaps. It doesn't understand nuance. It doesn't have experience and expertise to understand that a certain brand, a length of time at an organization shows X, Y, and Z. It's literally looking for increased sales by 15%. So it's really important to recognize that when you're creating these job application processes. And don't worry about gaps or pivots on a CV. They just need to be spoken about in the right way when you're writing your CV. But again, when you're creating these AI powered kind of recruitment systems that you're using within internally, make sure that within your kind of yes, no of somebody getting through to the next stage, you make sure that you tell it that gaps are okay. A lot of these systems, you can't just use out of the box. You need to kind of manipulate it to ensure that the weights and biases it's looking for in the CV are actually relevant to your brand, mission, culture, and the job role. So one of the things is both sides of that coin need to be incredibly deliberate about the narrative we are expecting and the narrative we write. Also, make sure as a job seeker, we are keeping our profiles consistent. Yeah, we're focusing on growth, and let the results, quantifiable results, speak confidently for you. I was at a conference a couple of days ago, and I was looking at a new AI powered system, and it was testing it through. And because the system hadn't been told that it's okay that somebody takes off maternity, takes a gap year, those kind of things, they were automatically getting filtered out. And everybody has some sort of kind of disruption in their CV. We're all human, we all live lives, right? And things happen. So it's important to, from a recruiter point of view, make sure that you are making sure these systems know what you think is okay, not just statistically what is okay for that role. The next thing is that digital interviews call for a digital presence. So video interviews and AI supported assessments are now just part of a lot of these processes. And that helps recruiters see more candidates more fairly. So from a candidate point of view, we need to start thinking that the camera is just a new version of that kind of initial handshake. So we need to protrude confidence, warmth, and preparation. they still shine through. And it emphasizes things like clear communication, good lighting, and a calm environment. And they all help our personality come across authentically. Yeah. But we need to adapt from a recruitment point of view, because if we look at statistically within the engineering and maybe developers kind of world, there's a lot of neurodivergence that can impact the way somebody comes across on a camera. So people may be getting screened out because of the more traditional things that it's looking for, like eye contact, those kind of things that don't always present themselves very well, which don't reflect the competencies that people have. So it's important to go and recognize if that is something that could actually be impacting the way that people come into your organization. And of course, another thing that's happening is AI is often people's career pilot. And this is where, like I said before, job seekers are using AI almost as a coach. So what do recruiters need to understand about AI recruitment from a job seeker's perspective? Because we get caught up in the joy that these platforms will bring us: better time, faster time to hire, lower cost per hire, all those kind of things. But actually, candidate trust is now a competitive advantage. We know, like job seekers know, that AI is part of the process. So we need to make sure that that skepticism doesn't impact the talent pool that we have access to. AI isn't replacing candidate experience, it's just reshaping it. Yeah, speed and efficiency are great, but candidates also want fairness, clarity, human connection. Misalignment also leads to good candidates dropping out. AI can filter out people for reasons candidates don't understand: keyword mismatches, formatting issues, algorithmic assumptions. So recruiters who actually understand the job seeker experience can guide candidates more effectively, write better job descriptions, optimize screening criteria, and reduce that unnecessary drop-off. It also improves the quality of hires, because candidates who understand how to speak AI are more likely to be accurately matched. And it also helps recruiters spot and mitigate bias. So AI can reduce certain biases, but it can also introduce new ones. Yeah. So understanding that candidate side is how actually recruiters can differentiate themselves when it comes to bringing people in to an organization. So the ways that AI reads a CV are often not well known. So one of the major things is it cannot understand like a Canva created PDF, which is all colors, different text sizes, stick to standard section headlines, profile experience, education, skills, certifications, so it can easily match. But if you're looking for a portfolio for a graphic designer and this person is incredibly creative, they may present their CV in a way that is not structurally standard. So then they could potentially just be auto-filtered out because they're not using a clean text-based layout. They are using columns, tables, imageries, and it can't read that. Yeah. It also needs to make sure that the file is saved as a .doc or a .pdf, and standard reliable font is also used. So applicant tracking systems are built to read and extract data, not interpret design. Yeah. So the next thing to kind of understand is that you need to be talking in keywords. So all of your keywords need to be matched to the job description. And that is, again, important in how we write the job description and also the kind of information surrounding that job role. The best CVs, the CVs that will get through, are ones that integrate those terms into CVs, particularly in skills section, experience section, and professional summary. One thing that these systems do not like is keyword stuffing. So anybody that repeats the word SEO manager, marketing manager, project manager, UX design, they will be auto-filtered out, realistically. And this is because AI systems use natural language processing, so NLP, to rank candidates based on relevance to that job description. So essentially, they're comparing CV language to employer requirements. So you can see how it's important from both sides that the words we use match and align. And also use data and action orientated language. So those action verbs: led, designed, achieved, implemented. If they're in the job role, they're going to have to be in the CV to match. So it says the system can go, yeah, they qualify, they're through to the next round. Quantify things wherever possible. So increased engagement by, reduced costs by. And that's because we're not just looking for keywords. The system is looking for the context of those keywords. So those performance indicators. And NLP algorithms give higher weight to statements showing measurable results and specific expertise. So the more measurable your job description is and your CV is, and the more concrete those connections are, those are the people that the system will put forward. Now, another thing that is happening is AI-led interviews. And this is incredibly important for job seekers to understand, and also recruiters, because there's specific ways that we need to act to ensure that the AI understands us in the best way. Now, that may not be natural. So one thing that we need to always do is speak clearly and naturally. Those with a heavy accent can struggle at this stage because the systems aren't that great at understanding that differentiation. So AI uses speech recognition and sentiment analysis to assess communication skills. It measures factors like pronunciation, pacing, tone, energy level, and they're all proxies, right, for confidence and engagement. And we also need to make sure that we're maintaining good eye contact and body language. Now, if somebody's nervous, they're hunched in, their camera is in the wrong place, this can look like non-confidence, introversion. And that is not what the system is kind of judging you on. The answers that you give to an AI avatar needs to be structured. So AI analyzes language and logic. So when we're using NLP to understand the responses somebody gives in a kind of interview, the way that does it, it needs context and structure. So a lot of the times it's actually looking for the situation, the task, the action, and the result. And then the space around you needs to be clean, poor lighting, don't have sudden movements and things like that. Because stereotypically that shows that you're nervous, you are fidgety, and realistically that could mean that you don't move forward within those kind of processes. So AI avatar interviews have moved from experimental to kind of mainstream. In a very interesting study of the UK, 30% of organizations now use virtual interview avatars. They literally look like this. This was a very interesting news story about this guy that didn't expect to be interviewed by an AI avatar, thought it was a scam, but actually it was like third or fourth kind of step in a recruitment process. So there's loads of different platforms, and these platforms can run thousands of interviews a day, meaning no delays, no scheduling issues, reducing candidate drop-off because we're not taking too long to reply to someone. And alongside that, more than half of those organizations used AI-based video analysis, and 68% of candidates then got feedback within hours, not days. So that's a huge difference for a candidate. And while digital natives may love the flexibility and fairness, a lot of people find this dehumanizing within a very human process. Has anyone experienced an AI avatar, or do they use it internally within their organization? You can just let me know. So the big question here becomes, is this actually the best approach for businesses that prioritize culture, relationships, and human connection? Yeah. So for organizations, especially where interpersonal skills, emotional intelligence, or relationship building truly matter, a hybrid model here, where you do the initial screening through AI, but the interviews as more human. I spoke earlier about the fact that candidates are using prompts and AI as a kind of job coach. These 3 prompts were some of the most versions of this prompt were some of the most asked of ChatGPT in the past 6 months. So the first one is a keyword finder. So people were putting in job descriptions into ChatGPT and asking what keywords, skills, and experiences they should highlight in their CV. The next was interview preparation. So help me prepare for an interview for this, at this. Give me 5 likely questions and strong examples and potential answers based on my background. The job hunt expander, based on my CV and my career goals, what types of roles or industries could be a strong fit for my skills? It's really interesting, isn't it? That people are using it in this kind of way to drive their job kind of hunt, but also from a recruiter's point of view, people are getting more and more savvy when it comes to using AI to support. But again, that also causes an issue because the outputs, the CVs, they're probably going to sound quite similar across the board, which means that a lot of great candidates are being auto-filtered out. So there's some real big ethical and emotional sides of AI within recruitment. And the first one is, can AI really be objective? Does anyone believe that AI can be truly objective? So AI is often promoted as a way to reduce human bias, but it can also reproduce or even amplify bias if trained on unbalanced data. For example, if an algorithm learns from historical hiring data that overrepresents one gender, background, or age group, it can unintentionally favor similar candidates again. So we need to remain active and involved to monitor these outcomes. We need to make sure these systems are set up in a way that the biases within the system, the decisions that it makes to move a candidate forward, are reflective of a non-biased situation. Another interesting thing is this fear of who decides and how. So candidates often don't know when or how AI is used in hiring decisions. Many systems don't explain why an application was rejected or what factors influence that ranking. That's an emotional barrier. People want to feel seen and heard. So as soon as job seekers feel powerless or mistrustful, or when feedback is vague, we then start to risk damaging our brand reputation if our hiring feels opaque or overly kind of automated. The next is that we still want this human connection and emotional experience. So AI-driven hiring can sometimes feel truly impersonal, especially when candidates interact with chatbots, automated emails, or avatar interviews. While efficient or potentially efficient, it risks removing the warmth and empathy that make job searching bearable. So technology should enhance this, not replace it. The best systems blend automation for efficiency with genuine human touch points that make candidates feel valued overall. We then need to think about the emotional well-being and candidate confidence. AI changes not just how people apply, but how they feel when they do. Rejections without explanations, long waits for responses, uncertainty about what an algorithm wants can erode confidence and lead to that dropout of really positive individuals that could bring great things to our organizations. So transparency, feedback, and empathy are vital. Candidates need to feel supported, not scrutinized when it comes to AI use within the hiring kind of arm. So just as we round off this session today, AI has transformed hiring, but it's not flawless. Yeah. Sometimes the same systems designed to find great talent end up filtering it out or making decisions that no human ever would. So I don't know if you saw the Amazon CV scandal. So this is where the algorithm was incredibly sexist. It was taught to be sexist. So Amazon built an AI kind of recruiting tool to identify top engineering candidates, but the algorithm learned for 10 years of historical hiring data, which mostly featured male applicants. So it started downgraded CVs that included the word women's, as in women's chess club, for example, and favoring certain male-dominated schools. AI learns what we teach it and what we give it access to. It has no understanding of anything else. So we need to make sure that the data that is making that decisions on doesn't reflect these kind of biases. There was also a chatbot that ghosted everybody. So a major retail chain deployed an AI chatbot to pre-screen applicants. It was supposed to answer questions and then book people in for interviews. It just began locking people in an endless loop of irrelevant questions. And then some questions stopped responding altogether. Dozens of qualified people dropped out, thinking that they'd just been rejected because they didn't know how to move forward. And then there was an interesting thing where we had an emotion analyzer that didn't like some people's faces. So some companies tested AI video tools that claimed to read facial expressions. So it was looking for things like empathy, leadership, or honesty. And it often misinterpreted neutral expressions, cultural differences, and lighting as negative emotions. So some candidates were rejected for not consistently smiling. But imagine in an interview if I was just like this for the whole session. Yeah. So human qualities can't really be reliably at the moment measured by algorithms. So emotional intelligence still requires that human eye. So at the end of that session, what I wanted to go through today was the two sides of the recruitment coin that are being impacted by AI. And it's important to know what the candidates are experiencing and the reasons that organizations are bringing this in. Because once you start to see it from both sides, what you can actually see is that as organizations, we need to be making sure that our system is not overly automated. It is not kind of making really rubbish job descriptions that loads of people are getting matched with or no one is getting matched with. We also have a responsibility to check the weights and biases within the systems that we choose to deploy and screen. And from a job seeker's point of view, if I step into a different pair of shoes, what I'm seeing here is that actually I need to speak in a different way. I need to understand that the algorithm needs me to be structured, clear, and quantifiable, which sometimes our CVs we kind of treat as more of a story rather than that kind of clear-cut information. So thank you for joining me today. We have a Slack channel, which is totally free to join, that is hosted by the college. And I put in there many different things about AI and kind of what goes on within this world. And you can join us there. And if you have any questions, please let me know. It's been a joy, as always, to talk through this kind of topic with you today. And I want to know how you're going to change things or what you're going to do differently as a job hunter or a recruiter when it comes to using AI kind of processes. Copy of the slides, please. Yes, so when you join one of the webinars, you get the replay through as a YouTube link to you, and you can also access the slides within, like, there's a portal link that it gives you, and you can also see all the past webinars that we've done regarding various different topics. This one's a little bit more HR, but generally we live within the tech, marketing, and kind of AI kind of world. But I've seen more and more organizations implement this type of software, but not know how it works and not know how it impacts the candidate. So I think it's really important to recognize both sides of that. Oh, it's not a problem, Kate. It's been a joy to have you here. Okay, and if you have any questions about what the college offers, I will get them to send out the information to you as well. There's some great HR courses, and especially if you want to look at kind of AI, there is an AI in marketing course and some AI practitioner courses, which are really interesting when it comes to truly understanding what this technology can do within an organization and for an organization, of course. It's not a problem. Well, thank you for joining me on this glorious Thursday, and have a really great day.